Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Nico.
Hello, Mary. Hello, Pietro. Hello, Eugene.
Hello, Nico. How are you?
Oh, fantastic, man. Fantastic.
Good.
Always good. Hello, Karina.
Sorry, I was muted. Hello, Nico. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Yes, you were. Yes,
Sorry
you
about
were
that.
muted. Karina,
Yes, Nico.
is my sound okay?
Yes, it's good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Now, your video
I'm just
isn't
doing
great,
a
but it
sound
might
check.
be my side.
No, I am working from my sound on my computer. So I'm not with my other sound system. So I just want to make sure that I don't have a sound problem. Just tell me if that was better than this. Is this better or not? Is it better
Just-
or not?
You sound like
a bit more.
It's good. It's good.
Hmm?
It's deeper, but it's good.
Is it good?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. 100%. 100%. So Karina, you will, at 3 o'clock, you will start recording.
The recording, I think, has already started. It happens automatically.
Okay. Good. So we are on the dot. We are on the dot here on 2 o'clock. So thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. This is, Karina, you will get all the other things there.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
So this is, okay. This is the practical focus on clause 6.2, objectives and planning to achieve them. And this is according to the high-level structure of the ISO, and specifically looking this week on clause 6.2, objectives.
Nico,
So the
sorry?
agenda, yes,
Nico, you're not sharing.
yes. Ah, sorry, man. It's my fault then. Sorry. Thank you very much for that. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Done now.
Thank you. Yes.
Ready now.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I said, we are on 6.2, objectives and planning to achieve them, in clause 6.2 of the standards across the board, the high-level standard. So the agenda of today is who is Crest Advisory Africa and what is our offerings, and then understanding the high-level structure of clause 6.2, the practical implementation model for 6.2, and then questions and contact CAA, please. So who are we? Crest Advisory Africa has been established by myself. I'm the founder and the CEO of Crest since the 13th of June 2014. So we are at present 12 years old, going for our 13th year. So CAA or Crest is contracted with 3 certification bodies. The first one is the PCB in terms of people certification, that is in ISO 17002, 065. Then MSECB and DQS. The MSECB is through the IAS, the International Accreditation Service, and DQS is through DAX in Germany. The IAS is in California, US, and this is in terms of 17021-1, that is management systems and the certification of management systems. So what do we do? Crest Advisory Africa, what is our offerings? We are doing training, and you can see the various trainings and disciplines that we are addressing there. training advisory service where we are implementing what we have trained. Then auditing services, internal audit, self-control audits, self-assessment audits, all those kind of things that we can do for our clients. Then we have got a software, Isalytics GRC software. We've got 12 modules on the software, from enterprise risk management, audit software, compliance software, document management, checklist, know your customer, business impact analysis, and more. And then international certification on the right bottom that I've got here. So we are doing international certification on these standards. And yeah, I think we are doing it in about 9 or 10 standards. So from 42,000, that is our newest standard that we have been qualified for, back to 9,001. And then leadership development, very important that CEOs, ExCos, as well as the board understand what is the importance of international standards. And this is not about international standards. I've been, at the moment, I'm sitting in Mauritius. So if you hear the sea behind me, don't shout, don't disturb, please. We are in a very tranquil environment. So the leadership development, boards, ExCos, and CEOs need to understand how this is supporting their business. It is not that you have to be certified in an ISO, and that is a different job and another line of work. Absolutely not. This is integrating into your objectives, into your strategic objectives of the company. So understanding the high-level structure, and specifically on 6.2, objectives and planning to achieve them, you will see in all the standards, the biggest question that has been asked, as well as from us that is doing audits, did the organization achieve its objectives? Is the scope aligned with the objectives of the company? Are the regulatory framework aligned with what is needed for the company, not for ISO, for your company, how to achieve that? So everything is, you need to go and prove and exhibit to us, how do you achieve your objectives? Are your objectives smart and clever and all these abbreviations that you can have? The question is, are you achieving them? It's fantastic to have a big board with everything on it, and then you don't monitor it, or you don't have your finger on the pulse. That achieves nothing. So you must be in a position with your objectives to indicate and to show us and have evidence in terms of, do you achieve them? So the practical focus on clause 6.2 is, why is clause 6.2, this is where the strategy becomes measurable. As I said to you now on the previous page, if you don't measure it, you don't achieve anything. You cannot prove anything. So in clause 6.1, ask what is the risk and opportunities that you need to address? And then clause 6.2 answers, what exactly are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve a paper exercise? Then it's easy, very easy. But if we are living in the real world and we are measuring what we have got in the real world, like uptime and number of attacks, or number of incidents, or corporate governance challenges, then you need to be in a position to have the evidence on that, trying to achieve them. On how will we know that we have succeeded? You need to have those parameters set down and make sure that everybody understands it. So clause 6.2 is where ISO moves from a risk-aware intent to measurable execution. How do you measure it? I've been asking all over in my last 18, 20 years of auditing, one question: what is the difference between monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation, like stipulated in clause 9.1. And the biggest difference between everything is the measurability. How do you put a value to it? Whether it is number of incidents against the number of incidents in the previous quarter or the previous quarter or the previous year, or what is the percentage of decrease or increase of the incidents. It forces organizations to stop talking in aspirations. A pie in the sky does not feed you, and start committing to specific owned and monitored outcomes. And this is also one of the most frequently audited clauses, objectives. Why? Because objectives are the glue. That is the ham in the hamburger. Really, that is the meat between these two buns and a tomato and everything else. That is the meat, because you need to drive the objectives, and not only the objectives of this specific standard, which is possibly 14,001 environmental or health and safety or security or those standards. It doesn't matter. The question is, how do you create your objectives of that specific standard aligned with your strategic focus of the company? You cannot have your own mindset and views. Then you must go and start your own business. Absolutely. Because then you are out of the mold. You are exceeding yourself. But if you are working for a company, you abide by the rules. And the rules is here. What is the objectives of the company? How can I support that? How do I drive that? How do I link my objectives into that objectives? How do I create value, and how do I protect value for the organization? So because objectives reveal whether ISO is actually driving performance. As I said, I'm not worried about the word ISO, really, guys. If you're looking at the alignment between ISO structure, the high-level structure, and strategic management, it is a one-on-one thing. Absolutely. It is totally aligned. So whether you are driving ISO or you are driving your strategic implementation, your strategy of the company, you have to do the same. You have to have internal audit. You have to have HR. You have to have competencies. You have to have resources. You have to have risk management. All of these things are exactly aligned. So what clause 6.2 requires in plain, simple language? It requires the organization to firstly establish objectives at relevant functions and levels. Actually, the first step is, what is the strategic objectives of the company? Out of the strategic objectives of the company, each function and level need to align with that specific objective or objectives, and how you are contributing at each level and function. How do you contribute to the organizational objectives? So whether you've got your relevant functions and levels, you can also have, as I said, within a department. If you are the IT department, I think your objectives are going to be super aligned with the ISMS. Ensure objectives are consistent with the policy. What did you state in your 5.2? What is the connection to 5.2? That it is measurable. How do you measure it? Put a number to it. If you cannot put a number to it, it is like, okay, I have spent all our money. Okay, what is all our money? Is it $10, or is it $100, or is it $1,000, or is it $1 million? No. I spent all our money. That person's concept of money is possibly different than what is in the bank. So maybe it is $10. I don't know. Taking into account applicable requirements. What is the applicable requirement, and who is creating that? That is created or documented in clause 4.2. 4.2 is the needs and expectations of your stakeholders. That is 4.2. What is the requirements? What is your legal requirements? What is your environmental requirements? What is your health and safety requirements? What is your regulatory requirements? What is your tax requirements? All of those requirements need to be listed because that is your compliance obligations. Relevant to conformity and continual improvement. Firstly, conformity. You need to conform with your requirements. Continual improvement is all about how do we improve this business tomorrow? How do we create a better morale tomorrow? How do we create a better service delivery tomorrow? So continual improvement is not only once a year when you are thinking of your risks and opportunities, or when you address clause 10.2 or 10.1 for continual improvement. No, it's not about that. It is continuous. So plan how to achieve your objectives, including what will be done, what resources are required, who is responsible for it, when will it be completed, and how results will be evaluated. And that evaluation is back again to measurables. Is it measurable? Can you measure it one-on-one, on percentage to percentage, that you can have whole percentages in your scorecard and address that and see where are you good and where are you not so good. So in short, objectives must be intentional, planned, owned, resourced, and measured. I like the word intentional. I am usually using deliberately and intentional. Deliberate and intentional. You cannot walk away from ownership there, because I have deliberately made that decision. I have deliberately came late. So I must own up to it. If I don't have a reason, I must be disciplined. So intentional, deliberate and intentional. So the ISO golden rule about objectives is, if you cannot measure it, you cannot defend it in an audit. I have got a slide from a very well-known international speaker, Renee Brown. Yeah, Renee Brown. She has said in one of her speeches about 5 years ago that if you cannot measure it, it doesn't exist. Let that sink in. If you cannot measure it, it does not exist. So that one there, you cannot define it in an audit. Absolutely right. Because according to any auditor, if you cannot have measurables, my friends, you are going to be in deep, uncomfortable waters. ISO does not require hundreds of objectives, not at all. It requires meaningful ones that are aligned to risk, strategy, and policy. As simple as that. And I will show you a practical example of that as well. So very important. I don't want to have 25, 30, 40 objectives. Guys, that is useless because you are creating for yourself work, firstly. Secondly, you as a strategic manager or a tactical manager that is in charge of a management system, you are diluting the waters. You are having granular objectives or granular involvement where you need to be looking at tactical environments or strategic environments. So we're close. So this is where we are getting the inputs from. Firstly, strong objectives are traceable to strategic direction. This is stipulated in clause 5.1. 5.1, I've been talking about 5.1 for so many weeks. 5.1 stipulates that top management shall align the management system to the management system policy, the management system objectives, and that must be aligned with the strategic direction of the company. If you do not have the connectors there, if you do not have the line of sight of your strategic objectives versus your management system objectives, you are losing the plot already in 5.1, and we are now on 6.2. You've already lost the plot. Policy commitments. What is the commitments that you have in your policy? And that is stipulated in 5.2 based on what is in 5.1. Risks and opportunity. Just remember your risk and opportunity. The definition of risk If somebody can help me there, otherwise I will now give it, is the effect of uncertainty on objectives. The effect of uncertainty on objectives. And what are the objectives that they're talking about there? The strategic objectives. Look there, 6.1 is before 6.2. So 6.1 is the risks and opportunities of the objectives in your strategic direction. You need to align with that. Then your compliance obligations. What I spoke about the previous slide or 2 slides ago. 4.2. And then your scope. What is the boundaries of your scope in clause 4.3? So auditors often test 6.2 backwards. Yeah, we are sometimes very backwards, our auditors. We are coming from the front, but we are actually asking questions from the back. So show me which risk or policy commitment this objective supports. Yep, you've got an objective there, link it. Show me the process approach. Show me that what you are doing it correctly. And create the linkages. If you cannot link it, you don't have command over your management system. So, what does ISO mean by objectives? Objectives are intended results, not activities. I don't want to see a list of activities. Come on, I'm opening a door and I'm closing a door. No, it is access control. Simple as that. Intended results. So what is the intended results of your management system? So firstly, it is not an objective to have 1 word or 2 word phrases there. Improve security. Oi, that is bad. Train staff. Okay, fantastic. Why? Or what? To what does it link? Enhance continuity. Okay, why? So the proper objective is reduce security incidents by 30%. That is more defined. That is more aligned to what you need to do. Achieve 91st, the training of the staff. Achieve 95% security awareness completion. That is immeasurable. That's a number. We can work with that. We can measure that. We can have analysis. We can have graphs on it. But you cannot have a graph on train staff. Okay, train staff. Is the staff on the train or did they miss the train? And then the last one, they achieve RTO of 4 hours for tier 1 systems. That is specifics, 4 hours. Not we will repair it and get to work when we can. Nope. Activity support objectives, and they are not objectives itself. So those activities that we've got there on top is supporting the objectives. They are driving the objectives. They are indicators of objectives. Don't make those activities objectives. So smart objectives. And this is really still the best ISO test that you can have. So auditors expect the following to be done. Firstly, the attributes: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And people, if you don't know those, go and research it a bit. The meaning of specific is clearly defined outcomes. Measurable is quantifiable or accessible. So you must be in a position to put a number to it. Achievable is realistic within the context. Relevant is linked to policy and risks. And time-bound, it has a deadline. Every quarter, annually, biannually, doesn't matter. You need to have a deadline. And if any of these are missing, clause 6.2 is at a risk. You need to be in a position to quantify and to show us this. So the practical example of this, as you can see there, I've got a link there. I will open that when we get there now. So clause 6.2 in action for for ISO 27001. If you don't know what is 27001, it is Information Security Management System, and the policy commitment is 5.2 that says there confidentiality. integrity and availability of information. The risk is 6.1. Phishing attacks are increasing. And the objectives here that we've got here is the element, and then the definition. So the element there is objective, reduce successful phishing incidents. The target there is 40% reduction within 12 months. Owner is the information security manager. The resources is training budget, simulation tools. The measure is incident statistics that you've got. Review is quarterly. And auditors love this because the logic, always about logic. Is it logical? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is it step by step? Is clear and evidence driven? Let me see if this thing is opening there. If it's not opening, I'm just going to go for this. This is an example. If you want it, you can please send us an email and we will send it to you. So if you look at SMART objectives, I've been asking 3 questions in terms of 27001: service delivery, governance, and empowerment. So service delivery is what service are you putting out there? Governance is, are you doing the right things from the regulators, from the legal environment, from international best practices? What do you need to do? And empowerment is people, always people. So I have used that as a guideline for what I'm doing here at the bottom. So clauses 6.2 are addressed, as well as 5.2, the policy and continuing improvements as well. So if you look at this, firstly, I have created 3 objectives per, I want to say a mission statement or something, but per one of these. So service delivery. So the objective there is improve the availability and reliability of information systems. I'm not going to go through everyone. I just want to show you. So you can have this, and there's also a spreadsheet that I have also done there. So firstly, the objective: maintain a minimum monthly availability rate of 99.5% for all critical business systems and information assets by implementing proactive monitoring, patch management, backup, validation, and incident response controls by Q4 in 2026. Your measurement criteria, your monthly uptime reports, the number of unplanned outages, the mean time to recovery, the MTTR, then your backup restoration success rate, responsible, who is responsible, the strategic alignment, business continuity, customer trust, and operational resilience. And then you can go to the second objective and the third objective with all the percentages there. You've seen that now. And then we can go over to the governance. So governance is my second mission statement there. And from here, I'm going to go over to the spreadsheet. So you can see there, this is the service delivery 3 objectives. Simple, straightforward, and you can measure it and you know exactly where is it and what is it aligned to. What is your relevant clauses that you are working with? Then you are doing your governance. There's the governance, 3 of them. You can make 5 of them, it doesn't matter. Just remember, we don't want to have too much. You can rather work with 8 to 10 or 12 objectives, that is over a broad spectrum, than to work with 40, 50 objectives. It doesn't work. So there's your governance and then your empowerment. How do I empower my people? What is my empowerment strategy? How do I work with that? How do I get this done? And how do I monitor it? And how do I make sure that the people know what they are supposed to know? So that is fairly simple. You just need to understand a structure and do it. So planning to achieve objectives. And this is often what we are seeing. You've got fantastic objectives, but there's there's a big gap in how do we get there? How do we get to implement that? So question 6.2 requires planning, not hope. I hope that this will be done. Nope, never ever. So each objective must answer 5 questions. What will be done? Who is responsible? What resources are required? When will it be achieved? And how will success be evaluated? What is the ideal picture that I want to see there? And that is what you need to drive at. If these are missing, the objectives are incomplete and you must go and redo it. Sometimes we are getting objectives that is so far-fetched or so little described that nobody knows what they need to do, but people are so happy about it because we've got objectives. Really? No, man. So objectives at relevant functions and levels. So ISO explicitly requires objectives at relevant levels, not only on corporate level or on executive level. No, it needs to be on strategic level, on the board and ExCo, that is 5.1. Tactical, this is in your department, IT department, HR department, finance, and please don't tell me that HR doesn't have an IT objective. Cannot have. No, they are only working with people. No, they've got systems there as well. They are using email. They are using an HR system. They are using a payroll system. They are using systems. They are getting people on board and also finance. No, finance has got nothing to do with IT. They are the users of it. IT is just the enabler. So finance is using supply chain systems, know your customer, everything else. They are using budgets and financial and invoices systems. That is their system. They must have the objectives for those systems. And then operational, on the process level. What are the objectives there for each and every employee? So if you're looking at the board, the level IT and HR, board level is maintain regulatory compliance. IT is achieve 99.9% system availability. That's all. They are sitting there with just the objective of 99.9% system availability. Who are the users of the system that is actually garbage in, garbage out? It is the HR or finance or the other operational or tactical departments. HR achieved 90% competence coverage and operations reduce rework by 15%. This shows ISO is embedded into the organization and it is not isolated. The second I just want to go back to 5.1 leadership. The second bullet on 5.1 has to do with integrate the management system into the organizational, into the organization. It cannot stand isolated. It cannot be isolated at all. It needs to be across functions, horizontally and vertically. Monitoring, updating, and changing objectives. 6.2 also expects objectives to be monitored, to be measured, to be communicated, to be updated when necessary. You cannot have objectives that is 5 years old and in those 5 years you have implemented AI and everything else, or you are users of an AI system, but your ISMS objectives did not change at all. Triggers for updates include risk changes, your environment, internal and external environment changes, your incidents. How does your incidents trigger off an investigation to understand why is this happening? Because actually, I have got the belief that an incident is actually a non-conformance. Because every incident is actually a breach of a control. We are just calling it incidents because it is. We don't want to do all the work for non-conformances. But incidents is actually a breach of a control. So if it's a breach of a control, there needs to be immediate corrections. There need to be a root cause analysis. And there need to be corrective actions to prevent this from happening again. Strategic shifts. Strategic shifts, I was speaking 2 weeks ago about this, where the company that I audited for artificial intelligence has actually moved the whole business into an artificial intelligence space. That is a huge change because people need to learn and relearn and unlearn things. Audit findings, absolutely. Performance shortfalls, definitely. And then static objectives over multiple years are a red flag. As I said, you cannot sit with an objective that is 5 years old on a tactical operational level, and there is so many changes in the whole world, and you are sitting on this pinnacle of the illusion of success, of being in control, and actually you are lost. You're not in control. You are just lost. So clause 6.2 across different ISO standards. So clause 6.2 has the same structure across all high-level structure standards. Only the focus change. So in 9001, it is customer quality and customer satisfaction. 27001 is information security performance. 22301 is business continuity, that is resilience and recovery capability. 37301 is compliance effectiveness, and 42001 is responsible AI outcomes. And this enables one integrated objective framework across standards. So common audit findings for clause 6.2. Firstly, objectives is not measurable. Very nicely stated there. 1 word or 2 words. Objectives not linked to risk or policy. No planning evidence. No ownership assigned. No monitoring or reviewed. And really, this is happening, guys. You can think that these things are not happening. No, really, this is happening. Then, what is good is that smart objectives, clear ownership, planning documented, progress is monitored, and objectives is updated when needed. It is not a shelf document that is lying there. No, it's a living, breathable document here. So the practical implementation steps, clause 6.2. First is step 1. Derive the objectives from clause 1. As I said earlier, this is coming from your strategic objectives, as well as your risks and opportunities. Every significant risk opportunity should drive at least one objective. Define SMART targets. Avoid vague language, please. Be specific. Be simple and specific. Third one, assign ownership and resources. Clause 5.3 is there for you. Use it. And clause 7 come into play here. What do you need? Do you need money? Do you need facilities? Do you need, what do you need? Systems, tools, software. What do you need? That need to be documented and priced. Otherwise, the board can approve it and then they don't have money for it. What's the use of that? That is totally useless. Then step 4, track and review. Link objectives to your KPIs, your dashboards, whether you've got scorecards or performance dashboards or anything. Show what you've got, but be specific. Don't have 50,000 dashboards. You need to know exactly that if I've got 10 objectives, what is my 10 dashboards? Not 110, only 10. And then management reviews. So improve or replace. Step 5 is objectives are living instruments, not static promises. Please, it's living instruments, not static. And the strategic value of clause 6.2 is when implemented properly, clause 6.2 translates strategy into action. And look there, strategy. Strategy is the strategy of your company. It is your strategic direction of your company. It is documented in leadership 5.1, leadership and commitment. Bullet 1, it's there. aligns risks and performance, drives accountability. People need to be held accountable, enables data-driven decisions. Very important. Not vague and pie-in-the-sky things. No. Strengthens audit confidence, and in mature organizations, clause 6.2 becomes the performance backbone of governance, risk, and compliance. Absolutely, I have seen this also many a time. So, closing thought. Clause 6.2 is where ISO asks the hardest but fairest question. What results are you actually committing to? And how will you prove it? Proof and proof and proof for the last, I think, 4 or 5 weeks. So please, what results are you actually committing to? And how will you prove it? And good intentions doesn't pass audits. Ay. Doesn't. You can think that I have got the most beautiful plan. Give me the evidence. If you don't have the evidence, and if you don't have that aligned to your objectives, all your plans are in the sky. It is just clouds that is floating by. So don't pass objectives, clear objectives, planned actions, and measured outcomes too. Show me what you're doing. Give me the proof. Give me the evidence. And if you can do that and connect the dots, my friends, you are in a good space. Any questions? That is our last slide of today. Any questions? Karina?
No, there's no question.
The people are shy.
I see
Okay.
that.
Aha. Okay. So if there is no questions, you can contact us on the details that is there. I think most of you has got my email. It is at the bottom as well, of Karina. Karina is just Karina with a C at crestadvisoryafrica.com. Phone numbers are on there. Contact us, and yeah, we will see you then in 2 weeks. Please have a fantastic, and this will be posted on our YouTube channel, I think by tomorrow. All right. So if there's no questions, thank you, everybody. Have a super Thursday.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.